Hey everyone, it's Jen, and I'm here today with Rena Martine. She's a certified life coach and a women's intimacy expert, and I'm so excited to get to talk to her. Hi, Rena. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. So, tell us a little more about what you do. What is a women's intimacy expert?
Sure. Well, a lot of things. Obviously, I'm an instructor here at the TAT Lab, so I work with usually about 50 to 75 women in class every week. I also have my own private coaching practice, and in that capacity, I work with women one-on-one. And my focus is around helping women love their body, helping women have great sex, and helping them experience true and deep intimacy in their lives. I also run workshops too and give interviews and all that good stuff, but all in the goal of really helping women just connect back to who we are essentially.
Oh my God, that's so cool. So, how did you get into this work?
Ooh, well, I mean, there's nothing that lights me up more in the world than talking to women about sex, relationships, and intimacy. But um, other than that, I'm also a deputy district attorney for LA County. And I've spent a majority of my career working with survivors of domestic and sexual assault. So, working with them and seeing the power that we have as women to rewrite our narratives and begin moving out from shame and reclaiming our bodies and reclaiming our capacity for pleasure was enlightening to me. And
Yeah.
it brought me to a point in my life where I realized I was helping a lot of other women do this, but I hadn't really done the work on myself. So I found a great therapist. I read all the books, I listened to all the podcasts, and I got to the point where I began making some true and substantial changes in my life and now feel more fulfilled than I ever have. And I don't believe that women should have to go through years of all this work to get to that place. And that's why I do what I do today is to help women get there as quickly as they possibly can.
That is so cool. Okay, so what groups do you teach in the lab?
I teach Girl Talk, which is the women's intimacy group. It's every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard, as it stands right now. And every week we dive into a different topic. I give some research around the topic because I believe in evidence and I believe in science. And really in an effort to normalize the experience.
Yeah.
And then typically I'll open it up for some sharing to further normalize amongst the group. And the topics range from, gosh, demystifying the orgasm to the 13 key ingredients for a long lasting, sexually fulfilling relationship. I'm going to be doing a class on sexual fantasies coming up soon. So, really, the gamut. And I love the way the series is set up because I can cover so much and cover something different every week.
Yeah. I mean, and I would assume, it seems like one of those things that people are like really hungry for. Like we don't, I feel like we finally live in a culture where there is more sex positivity and there is more conversation and more education than there's ever been. But I feel like there's still like taking that from education to pleasure is two different things. And I think it's really, I would assume that you're getting like just that's something that women are hungry for. So what is your
Yes,
sorry.
I have seen that. I have seen that.
Very cool. So what's your favorite part about being
No,
a
that's it. Yeah, but yes, you're absolutely right. Women are hungry for this.
yeah. Like I just think it's such a necessary
My favorite part.
yeah, go on.
Oh, we got a little bit of a delay here,
I
but
know, sorry, my
no, my
internet
favorite
connection is
part
wonky.
about being a lab.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right, I'm going to start now about my
Okay.
favorite part of being a TAT lab
Okay.
instructor. My favorite part about being a TAT lab instructor has to be the members, the students, the women that I work with on a weekly basis. And a cornerstone of my practice, as both an instructor and a coach working with women individually, is the idea of the power of our story and sharing our stories in order to normalize our experience. Because if other people out there have experienced or are feeling the way you feel less alone, and you're not carrying that shame with you. So the power of our story, and then you exponentially multiply that by having so many women together at once, and it's transformative. So that's my favorite part, is the power of the women that I work with.
That's awesome. Okay, so what do you wish more people that you work with, like what would, I don't know, like I call it like the bumper sticker question, right? Like what would your message be out to everyone? Like what do you wish they knew?
Okay, so I think if you were to ask any woman who's been in any of my TAT lab classes, I'm always screaming, I am normal, and getting them to like say it after me, like, I am normal. And I know that's a big thing that Emily Nagoski, the author who wrote Come As You Are, that's her big thing, is like, we're all different, but we're all normal. But, and I agree with that. So I am normal would be the big one. Other than that, I really firmly believe that everything that we want in life is just outside of our comfort zone, and that change happens in baby steps. And so with those, starting with I am normal, like I'm not defective, I'm not ashamed, and then realizing that we have the capacity to change from a neurobiological perspective, and just giving ourselves these small new experiences one after the other, leads to the kind of lasting mindset change that I think many of us are craving.
Oh my God, I think that's so beautifully said. And yes, to everything you said. I think that was perfect. Oh my gosh. I think that is like a great bumper sticker. Because yeah, I think there is this,
It's
I mean,
kind of a
isn't it,
long bumper
it's
sticker.
a very long bump. All the bumper stickers are very long, but I think there's like, it is like the biggest human thing, right? Is that like we always are afraid that like there's something about us that's wrong or defective. I mean, isn't that like so much of shame is that, right? That's what that little voice whispers, is you're not enough, you're not gonna be enough, you're not okay the way you are. Um, I mean, and obviously like the world we live in validates that in so many ways, that I think, yeah, to just accept that we're normal is really, that is powerful. I like that.
And that's honestly the most common thing that I hear from women after my workshops, after class, is thank you for making me see that I'm normal.
Yeah.
And like the power of that, right,
Yeah.
is really where we all have to start. So that's why I structure my classes the way I do, and I emphasize this so much, is and it's part of my story too. Like I felt very alone and not normal for a long time. And
Yeah.
it was only when I started surrounding myself with more sex positive media, sex positive instruction, that I realized, like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I'm normal.
Yeah.
It's all good. But that was the first step.
I think that's awesome. I'm glad you took that step, because now we all get to benefit. So, of all the like media
Yay.
you consume,
Win,
like the
win.
books, the podcasts, the movies, TV shows, whatever it is, like what are your top 3 media consumption things?
Okay, so, I've been thinking about this, and I have to say this was so hard, because I consume and have consumed a lot of media over the years. So I'm going to hone in on the 3 that I think are most relevant to this space. Um, so I'll start with book, is Esther Perel's Mating in Captivity. It's not a new book, but I read this ages ago, long before she was the worldwide sensation that she is now. And it was given to me by a friend, somebody who's still a dear friend of mine, who was the first person I'd ever met who identified as polyamorous, which was a word I'd never heard of before.
Mhm.
And I did not know that there was a concept of loving multiple people in an ethical way. And so I always tie those two together, even though her book is not really about polyamory, but it was a time in my life where I saw that there were more than one there was more than one way of doing things. So I read that book, he let me borrow it, and what it said to me was that cultivating intimacy, cultivating sexual desire, cultivating eroticism isn't something that we are born knowing how to do.
Mm,
It's work. And most of the tools that we need to sustain long-lasting desire in a relationship are actually pretty counterintuitive. But if we see this desire, eroticism, and intimacy as a craft, as something we can get good at, as something we can hone, then um, it changes everything. And that's really what brings me to where I am today as a practitioner, because I see it and understand it to be something we can work at and get better at. I see it as an art. I see intimacy as an art. And I help women create their masterpiece by giving them the tools and walking them through it so that at the end, they have something that's uniquely them, that honors them, but that they've put in the work to create.
oh, I love
So
that.
that's my book.
Okay.
My movie, and this was hard because I love film. Like I'm a total film nerd, and I can't come up with a favorite, but I would say top 10 would have to be Belle de Jour by Luis Buñuel. He was a contemporary of Salvador Dali, and both of them were obsessed with this idea of surrealism and the subconscious. And
Okay.
so this movie, Belle de Jour, it stars Catherine Deneuve. It takes place in the 60s in Paris, and she is this high society, beautiful woman. She's married to a man who loves her dearly, who is a doctor, and he's a really good guy. He's handsome, but she just has zero sexual desire toward him. And it tells a story about her, this high society woman, leaning into what at the time would have been considered subversive desires
Mm-hmm.
and what that story is. And I've always had a personal fascination with the intersection of our subconscious desires,
Mm-hmm.
personal shame, and the societal expectations around us. And this movie just shows how all those three collide with one another. Um, and I saw this for the first time in college, and I've watched it at least a dozen times since then. And every time I see it, it resonates with me differently depending on where I am on my own journey.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a good one.
I love that. Okay. Are there any others?
Lastly, save the best for last. So anyone who knows me, like I quote Dan Savage on a daily basis. I love that man. I think he should be given a Nobel Peace Prize for the work that he is able to do by just hosting a call-in sex, love, and relationship advice show once a week. And so he has a show called Savage Lovecast. You can subscribe to the free edition, which is the micro, and then the Magnum is the paid one. And so anyway, I'm a now several year long Magnum subscriber because with that he interviews all these experts and stuff. And um, basically, I was a unlike Esther Perel, where I kind of found her a long time ago. With Dan Savage, I discovered him pretty late in the game and discovered him at a time where, as I mentioned to you earlier, I was feeling very alone.
Mm-hmm.
I was battling my own internal shame at that time, um, and trying to reconcile my own desires that did not fit neatly within our hetero mononormative societies, specifically the society that I kind of move in. Although I'm from LA in a very progressive city,
Mm-hmm.
I still work as an attorney in a relatively conservative environment.
Yeah.
I'm in the minority as far as people who are not married and don't have kids. So um, within that capacity, it felt a little alone. And so weekly, I started listening to Dan Savage. I went back into the archives, and hearing just hundreds, now thousands of people calling in and share their own struggles. Like, because I had read the books, I knew from a philosophical perspective, like,
Yeah.
ethical non-monogamy is a thing, kink is a thing, but hearing from real people
Mhm.
and hearing how Dan Savage just like nothing shocks him.
Yeah.
And he just normalized everything, would bring these experts on, and hearing from all these people week after week made me realize that I wasn't alone, that like my people were out there. I just hadn't found them yet. So this podcast, this little podcast like changed my life. And so I can't recommend it enough. I love him. I think what he's doing is wonderful. And so that would be like my big recommendation to people, is to check that out.
Those are some solid recommendations. I love that. Okay, so in your life,
Mhm.
what do you do or practice or be or whatever to, like keep your sanity, keep your head above water, keep you in alignment? Like, what works for you?
Pleasure,
Mhm.
both self pleasure and pleasure with my partner. Um, I'm a connector and I love people, and it's been really tricky during the pandemic for obvious reasons. But I have a large group and network of close friends and people I love. And so connecting with them, whether that's in person, or on Zoom or on House Party, or, in all these different ways, like that's a huge part of what fills my cup. As far as practices go, breath work, I love restorative yoga. I used to go to classes in person. That's not really an option now. So I have all my equipment at home. I do that here if I'm just needing to calm down my parasympathetic nervous system.
Mhm.
I do affirmations and visualizations that are all very carefully crafted so that I'm I'm working my reticular activating system in just the right way, to create, these lasting changes. And I do my daily gratitudes daily every day. I do 3 a day, and this is based on, well, positive psychology, but that's kind of what Martin Seligman talks about, is the one thing that you can do that really will change your well-being is write down 3 things every day that went well. And so that's part of my daily practice. And I'd say a glass of wine or a cocktail here and there, but you know,
I love that.
yeah.
That is, yeah, I mean, that sounds really balanced. So, like, I think we all like need our tools to stay together, and I think, yeah, that's a solid list. Well, is there anything else that you want to share about, like who you are, what you're into, or that you want everyone to know?
Oh Lord. I mean, relevant to this, I could go on forever and ever. I like cheese. I have a really cute cat. I'm now thinking things that are not relevant to this. I love movies, 60s music, and oh God, I have such a guilty pleasure for watching 90 Day Fiance. I think it's like the only actual TV that I watch anymore. But like, if we're talking about like coping practices,
Mhm.
90 Day Fiance and a bowl of popcorn is kind of like my decadent indulgence for the week, like wearing my snuggly blue bathrobe, cooking up a bowl of popcorn and watching some 90 Day Fiance, which I'm
Nice.
admitting to everybody. But you know what? It's all good. I
That's
can't be highbrow all the time. So
No, I think that's beautiful. We all need those, like, I mean, I don't know, like I definitely embrace my fuzzy pants and my like pint of ice cream at the end of the day sometimes. And like I think there's a really like solid place in the day for that.
yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else? Like, I don't know if anyone's gonna be watching this who isn't already a member of TAT Lab, but seriously, people, like there's nowhere else that you can get the level of community and benefit and just holistic experience with so many different offerings from amazing instructors for the value. I mean, the low price, the low ticket of entry.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So
No, I'm
come
right there
on
with
in,
you.
everyone.
I love that. Yes. All right. Well, have a wonderful afternoon. I hope you are well and
Thank
stay nice
you.
and warm this weekend. And we will talk to you later.
Well, it's LA. It's always warm here.
Right? It's true. Okay. Well, then maybe I'll call you later
Thank
on
you
in the
so
week and you can show me palm trees.
much. Okay, sounds
Awesome.
good.
Bye.